Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Crossover Sports Talk and Events. I'm your host and founder, Fazil Rashad. Hope you guys are doing good. I know it's been quite some time. I know the first week of the NFL season just went by. The second week just began today on Thursday Night Football. I know I have been out. This just been super busy as of late. So many things going on in life. Is this the busyness that happens, of a day to day life, or the just the average human being, what goes on in doing everything, just trying to get everything adjusted and everything get going. But I just wanted to, reiterate I'm back here again, guys. Trying to get my next guest on, so we can, get more traction, continue to keep building off of this podcast, and it's growing, on Instagram. We're getting over 17,000 followers just now. It's pretty good with all of our traction with highlights and details of what's going on, and including putting up more videos and trying to keep everybody engaged and keeping it all together and keep it rolling. I really thank you guys for always supporting me and being out there and showing the love and support of Crossover Sports Talks, and always, giving me good advice and hyping me up, and, showing your friends and family, about this podcast. I would love to, anybody you guys have, anybody you like, tell them to reach about it, like and subscribe. They can reach out, and, I'd be happy to assist them from there. I'd love to have anybody on the show that'd love to speak about our content that we provide here. But I'll get right into it just about right now. All right. So, what a wild week. What a wild week in week one of the NFL season, and including just starting today as well. It's been pretty crazy that week one. As expected, and I think the NFL is king out of the four American sports that everyone's been talking about right now. I think, you see this ratings off of just one game, or whether it's a trade or injury news or whatnot. It just creates so much more and more viewership, I'd say, around the world, including over here too as well. That's why this thing NFL's king. And, like we talked about, every game's important. There's only right now there's 17 games. There was 16 games before. Now there's 17 games. They're looking to add more in the future coming years. But, you want to make sure you're securing that spot. You're winning each week. You're keeping your teams prepared so you can get into the playoffs and, get home field advantage, and then get possibly to a Super Bowl with whatever team you can get and move forward from. But that's the difference, what goes on. The NBA, you got 82 games. Hockey, there's a lot of games, and then the MLB is like 162. You can lose here or there, but you gotta, make sure you get enough points to get in, get that one seed or whatnot it is. But you always have tomorrow, and then when you get into the postseason, it's 7 games, besides Game 7 or some wild card knockout round in the MLB playoffs or whatnot. But you get 7 games, and in the DS rounds you get 5-7 games. The NFL, you're one and done. Your wild card game, you have a 1 seed, you have the home field advantage. People are expecting Super Bowl for your team. You can be a wild card, or another team can come in, division winner can come in, and they can knock out the 1 seed, and then your season's over. But then they'd say, "Oh, it was 1 game; they weren't ready." But then imagine if it was 7-game series. The better team would obviously win. But in NFL, it doesn't work like that. It's only 1 game. You're running down. That's why the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. Like, oh, what if they're on a off day? What if they have an off day? What if they're not prepared? What if they're doing this or that? That's the difference of it. But that's what makes the NFL so unique in its own way over there. But we'll get into it. We'll speak into about what happened in week one. I just wanted to mention some ratings and some attention that was going on. The NFL right here, that's it on the AP News. The NFL opened the season with a record viewership of averaging 22.5 million viewers per game. This is the Nielsen measurement, smart TVs, and nationwide out-of-home viewingship, including the first game of the year. which was the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl. They were the Super Bowl champs. They did host the Dallas Cowboys, and it had about 28.3 million views. And then, including the Sunday night wild game, which was about 24.7 million, 24.7 million. And then Packers Lions was good, with 24 million views. But we'll get into those games. So yeah, I'd like to get into the first one with the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, defeating the Dallas Cowboys 24-20. Well, that game started pretty crazy. Jalen Carter, the star Philadelphia Eagles defensive tackle, ended up spitting on the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott, and he got fined and ejected from that game. And what a way to start the season. The Cowboys immediately they drove down the field and they scored. And the Eagles came back, they scored. That was a back and forth game. And then eventually CeeDee Lamb had some drops. He did play good in the first half. The Eagles ended up winning 24-20. And then, everyone's been talking about the Bills-Ravens one too. That one was potential AFC Championship playoff matchup again. They've been in the playoffs a couple times. The Bills have won. It's pretty crazy with, what goes on with them. That was 41-40, and everyone thought the Ravens were going to win. They were up by two scores, 15 points with about like 3-4 minutes left, and then the Bills came back, roaring back, and won that game. The key cog in that one was the Derrick Henry fumble. So, yeah, that one was pretty crazy. And then the Friday night game, that was in Sao Paulo, Brazil, where the LA Chargers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs, where Justin Herbert threw for about 318 yards, 3 TDs. He looked good. He looked solid. And he sealed that with that scramble on the corner when he ran out to the right side when, the Chiefs came out on blitz and sealed that one for them, defeating the division rival, AFC champion, Kansas City Chiefs, 27-21. That's a big win for them. And then the Super Bowl rematch, as we'll get into, it is actually going to be this week in Kansas City, which is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs need to win this game. The Eagles look a little bit better right now, front line, D line, everything. Since they are home, it's going to be tough, but that's going to be something to monitor, a game to look at. But it is what it is. Still early in the season, but you can never count out the Chiefs. That's one thing. And then some other big wins that went on in week one, which was the Indianapolis Colts defeating the Miami Dolphins 33-8. Man, the Dolphins do not look good. They look dysfunctional. I think they're gonna end up firing Mike McDaniel. I don't know what's gonna happen there. I think he's still a solid coach. I think he's very smart. And I think he'd come back to the Niners as a consultant or probably a run game offensive coordinator, assistant coach with Shanahan, because those two, they mesh really well together. Because it was him and the Packers coach. I think it was Matt LaFleur and Kyle all together in one. Those three brains are something else. They can develop some crazy offenses like they did in Atlanta when the Falcons were in the Super Bowl, and then even with the 49ers. So it's going to be pretty cool, pretty interesting. But the main key from this one was, I know Anthony Richardson's hurt right now, or we could have started. I don't know the deal behind that, but Daniel Jones ended up becoming the starter. He looked really good under Shane Steichen in that Colts offense. He had about 272 passing yards and 3 total TDs. That was something completely different from when he looked from as a Giant, majority of his time. He did have a solid year with the Giants, and they made the playoffs. They even won a playoff game. He looked really good under Brian Daboll, but he looks a little bit more comfortable here in Indianapolis. So look out for them. And they did improve their team a little bit defensively. So shout out to them. And moving on, speaking forward was with how it was with not rookie quarterback, I would say, second year, J.J. McCarthy coming back from his injury last year and defeating the Chicago Bears. I know I've spoke about the Bears a little bit on this pod, like quite some time, I think a few times, and what we can expect with them, with their weapons and Ben Johnson finally getting the right coach for Caleb. They look solid in the first half, and then it kind of deteriorated like the Vikings just came out, and then what they're doing, what the Vikings are doing with JJ McCarthy is what they were doing with him, how Kevin O'Connell was using him, how Jim Harbaugh was using him at Michigan. They would run, play action. Sometimes and then him make the big play in the fourth quarter, make some big throws, clutch throws. So that's what they did. And he showed up in that second half. He had a little bit of a shaky first half, and he showed their resilience, and they ended up winning 27-24. So shout out to him. And then yeah, that was pretty good. So, and I would like to mention some sponsors right now as we continue to move forward with the show. Trailer Pros, expert trailer repair and custom metal fabrication, reliable, mobile, built to last. You can call them at 916-812-2513. Trailer Pros at gmail.com. You can reach out to them. They will help out with any trailer needs, anything that's damaged to a bobtail, a box truck, a trailer truck, the cargo's damaged or whatnot. You can reach out to Trailer Pros. They will fix it at your earliest convenience. And another one I'd like to mention as well, as for sale, AJ and Michelle Chand, real estate and loans. You can call them at 916-549-2425, license number 018024444, and broker license of 018-78277. And you can reach out to ajnesh.chand@xprealty.com. They are sponsored by Crossover Sports Talk and Events. Okay, and then I'd like to also mention John Carlo and Zena Carmona. They're licensed financial professionals, and they help individuals and families build wealth, build generational wealth, eliminate debt, and protect their future through global financial impact, which is TFI. Hashtag global financial impact, wealth building, and hashtag Crossover Sports Talk and Events, and hashtag financial freedom. And right here, and you can reach out to them right beneath this on the ticker. Zena is a Zena Yassine 06063 at gmail.com. You can reach out to her at 510-461-2496. And John Carlo is Giancarlo WF at gmail.com. He's 858-405-6743. I will put everybody's sponsors in the description box below within my social media too. So if you guys need to reach out to them or need any help from them or anything, any services you need for them, they're going to be all in the description box. Okay. All right. Moving on, guys, to continuing on from week one and probably what to expect in week two. So we'll get into that. The Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, Pete Carroll's debut as a Las Vegas Raiders head coach. They ended up beating the New England Patriots 20-13, which was pretty solid. He's a defensive coach. The defense looked good. Geno looked pretty good. He did both quarterbacks, Drake May and him, threw a pick, but Genty looked good. Brock Bowers looked good, and then their rookie receiver Thornton Jr. and Jacoby Myers as well, former Patriot wide receiver with the Raiders now. He did request a trade from them too. Look pretty good. They look solid. And then they're going to have a big divisional matchup coming up on Monday Night Football at 7 o'clock against the Chargers, their home opener. So that's going to be a good game, I think. Division rivals, they're when they face off, it gets scrappy and it's pretty good. So, yeah, we shall see how that goes. And then another one that I'd like to mention was this team right here is everyone, and then including I'm going to talk to them even more today after their victory against the Washington Commanders tonight, 27-18. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Detroit Lions in week one, 27-13. They look pretty damn good. Micah Parsons, him getting traded. I know from my last time I was on here that he ended up getting traded, man. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys ended up trading him to an NFC team. I thought he'd be sent to an AFC team. He was sent over to the Green Bay Packers in a trade for Kenny Clark and some first-round picks. And now the Packers defense, I think, is pretty much complete. They got some good corners and safeties. Their pass rush with Rashawn Gary, now Micah Parsons. Their linebackers with Cooper. They're solid. They got a good defensive coordinator in Jeff Hafley, and their head coach Matt LaFleur has built that culture there for the past 6 seasons now. 6-7 seasons now, including going on from Aaron Rodgers now to Jordan Love, developing him. Everything's looking good for Green Bay. They look complete. They have a good kicker. They have a good coaching staff. They have good players. They have the talent. They have the depth. They are, in my opinion, they are a Super Bowl contender. I think they must have been last year, but I just don't think they were ready enough. They ran into Philadelphia. The eventual Super Bowl champs was just too much for them. I think I think they're ready now, though, with especially the addition of Micah Parsons. They're a threat, you know, especially what they did to Detroit. Detroit losing both their coordinators, but the Packers ended up, they look pretty good. Okay. So we will show some over here. I will share my screen regarding to show some stuff that's going on in the NFL. So right here, as you guys can see, let me add this to the stage right there. Right here, as you see, Commanders Packers was 27-18. And we're talking about predictions, what we're going to probably expect in week two, the over and unders, for all these teams and what we're going to see, So that, Martin Schottenheimer and the Cowboys, they look pretty good, so what's going on? This was earlier today, but it's passed by. So now we'll just go over here. Right here, as I'd like to get into some injury news as well. Krishan Judkins practices, and then Brock Purdy, the Niners. The Niners have some injuries coming up, especially after their win against the Seattle Seahawks 17-13 this past Sunday, with a wild finishing from Brock Purdy. Downline, sideline pass to Ricky Pearsall was a beauty. A double pump, 45-yarder, and then that game winner to Jake Tonjes. It's from Los Gatos, from the Bay Area as well. Shout out to him. Caught the game-winning touchdown. Ended up lifting the Niners 17-13, but they did leave with some injuries. As me as also being a Niner fan, it hurts to see that. He's week to week. They said it was 2 to 5 weeks, but he's most likely going to be out for 2 weeks. I think what they were saying was, but I think what they're going to do, what the Niners are really trying to do is they're going to check on if the Niners are going to win this Sunday in New Orleans. Mac Jones is going to be starting. They did sign Kendrick Bourne. They also had waived kicker Jake Moody, and brought in kicker Eddie Pinheiro, which has been more accurate in the past 3-4 years. They said the only problem with him was some leg issues, like he can't really kick that accurately beyond 50, but not everybody kicks that accurately beyond 50, but it's like becoming chip shots now. People are making 60-plus yards now, but with Eddie Pinheiro, I think they want that consistency, and it's gonna drive maybe Kyle Shanahan to go for it on those 4th and shorts and whatnot. So this is gonna be something to look at in the coming days. I don't know what he's gonna do with Mac, but it's kind of wild because 4 years ago, during the 2021 draft, everyone was talking about, Mac Jones to the Niners. Mac Jones to the Niners. It was going to be Trey Lance. It was going to be Justin Fields. No Zach Wilson. Okay, Zach Wilson eventually went to the Jets, but it was going to be everyone was talking about at 3 when the Niners traded those first-round picks to move up from 12 to 3 with the Miami Dolphins. It's a quarterback, but we don't know who. Everyone was like, they could have stayed and took Mac Jones there, picked another player. They traded up. They wanted a quarterback because of the injury-prone issues to Jimmy G. They ended up taking Trey Lance. It was a raw project at the time coming out of North Dakota State. It didn't, and eventually worked out. They traded him to Dallas, and then he was released and signed with the Chargers. Looks good as a backup now over there, underneath the Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. But now that trade, it's crazy because he's on a new team. Jones went to Jacksonville from New England, got drafted by New England, then to Jacksonville, and now he's back here again. And Kyle, everyone was waiting to see what he can see in Kyle Shanahan's offense. He can run it pretty well. I think he definitely can. He's got a familiar receiver with him and Kendrick Bourne. Probably getting Jawan Jennings back this week. George Kittle's out, for the hamstring injury. He did pull his tightness over there. Just wanted to mention that as well. And hopefully he cuts back healthy soon. They do have an emerging receiver right now in Ricky Pearsall, who looks really good. Had a strong mini camp, preseason, and now he's looking pretty good in the regular season against that pretty solid good defense in Seattle up there. He played solid, so it ain't the end of the world, guys. It's only week 2, so we should see what goes on with them. But they ended up winning, which was huge, 17-13 in Seattle, and we move forward from there now. So we should see. what goes on. Anyways, more injury news right here. There was some, Chris Godwin injured his ankle, but he returned to practice. And then the Giants ended up claiming receiver. And then the Bills did place Tyler Bass on injured reserve. This was something funny too. How Jake Moody was missing kicks last year, years before. He did get hurt last year too. It was the crazy part about him. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Yeah. But the crazy part about him was they ended up signing 41-year-old Matt Prater and put him on, and he signed on Thursday last week, and then ended up kicking the game-winning field goal in at home week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday night, 41-40, and like, damn, it was like, but he is a great kicker. He's had a great career when he was with Denver, and I think he was with Detroit too as well. So some solid players. It's kind of wild to think of that, but the Niners did pick Jake Moody in the 3rd round. And they were waiting on him. They didn't want to cut him right away. Everyone was saying like we should have discarded ties with him last year, but the Niners gave him so many chances. I think it was just more mentally. He does have that talent, especially when he showed at Michigan. But I just think it was Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch said I think it was more of a mental thing for them to eventually move on from him. So we wish the best of luck for him. So we should see what goes on. The Jets have received some concerning news for Sauce Gardner, who's a star-studded corner in the Jets. Hey, that was interesting too. I forgot about mentioning that game. Was Justin Fields was a former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers was a former Jets quarterback, and they ended up looking very good with their new teams. Justin Fields looked good, and Aaron Rodgers threw for 4 TDs, looked accurate, looked like the old Aaron Rodgers with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Everyone's saying it's that culture change. But I think Aaron Glenn is going to change something in New York because Justin Fields found something new. He's got Garrett Wilson. He's got some good talent over there, including, Pittsburgh's always ran really well with Mike Tomlin. So should be good. And then did also want to mention this. The 3 sisters that made NFL history. The CEO of the Colts is Carly Gordon. The eldest of 3 was seen. She was patrolling the sidelines in week 1. And, there was some news about her, like about the headsets, about all what's going on. But that's really cool to see. And yes, that's what we should see, what goes on. What's really concerning too as well was Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. So that one, everyone was talking about like, oh, are they going to draft a new quarterback? I think the Dolphins might end up having a top pick along with, teams like the Saints and, some other bottom seller teams that we're going to expect. But I think they're going to clean house. Mike McDaniels is going to end up being fired, and Tyreek Hill's probably going to be traded by the deadline or before that. They have a rough state ahead because they got a tough division rival up in Buffalo on Thursday night next week. Not Sunday, but the following Thursday. So they have to get it together or their season's probably going to unravel. So we shall see. We shall see what goes on. Hopefully everything's get better for them. And we should see what goes on because, nobody wants to see that players lose their jobs or coaches get fired. But we should see. It's some pretty big momentum that's going on here and what we're going to expect. Anyways, moving on, guys. I'm going to mention a few more sponsors, and then we'll wrap up the show in a little bit. Mohammed Shiraan, we're here. LawPro Legal Services, evictions, disputes, 3-day and 30-day notices, residential, commercial, mobile, home parks, 916-709-5518. You can reach out to him at mshiraan@yahoo.com. Including Blaise Stanfield-Ellison, Realtor at Intero Real Estate Services, a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate specializing in residential real estate across the Bay Area, helping clients buy, sell, and invest with confidence, care, and local expertise. You can reach out to Blaise at 510-364-7083. You guys can also reach out to Rallysport Engineering, Subaru Repair Specialist, free estimates, 2015 Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa, California. You can call them at 548-0978, www.subarurepair.com. And they do have a few stuff here. They do have the mechanic shop right there, and then they have their detailing, their wash bay, the car wash, and then they have garage sales too, which I'll mention right here, which is Rallysport Auto Spa, Premium Subaru Detailing, Interior, Exterior, Clay Bar. Book now at 949-691-6239. You can service them at rallyautospa.com, and their email, including there's SubiGarage and auto sales, quality used Subarus, clean titles, great deals. Call 949-548-0987 at rseraul@gmail.com. Okay. Right. Moving forward, guys. So we do have some pretty key matchups that we're going to be looking at into week 2 here. And, I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it. Please mention in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and family or anybody that you guys have around. Just love to, continue to get the show out there and keep it rolling and get it going. So we do have some, some matchups that we're going to look at here. The New York Giants are heading to Dallas. Both are looking for their first win. There were things about, Malik Neighbors and Brian Dable and Russell Wilson. Are they going to eventually, bench him for Jackson Dart, and let him start his career? Because, they're saying about Russ, is he washed or whatnot? And with Malik Neighbors, he's still he's a solid wide receiver, second year, so we should see what goes on over there in New York. There's always something going on there, but we should see. But they do have the talent. They have a very good defensive front and a good defensive talent there. So we should see what goes on. And then Dallas, people thought Dallas were going to walk into Philly, just to get blown out or killed or whatnot. They have nothing. They traded Mike away. Jerry doesn't know what he's doing. He can't sign anybody, do this and that. But, with George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, and then, with that team that they have over there, I think they'll eventually be fine offensively. Defensively, they took a little bit of it, but they looked okay on Thursday. We got to still see more. It's very early in the season. Only one game has been played, so we have to continue to wait and see. Another interesting game, I think that will be the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. We got to see more of Caleb with this new offense, with this new offense, more weapons and stuff and all that. So, and then Detroit bouncing back. How are they going to recover from the losses of Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson? Dan Campbell's still trying to figure that out. See how dominant Detroit can be. Excuse me. Then we're going to have Seahawks at Steelers. That should be another good one. The Steelers have their home opener, Aaron Rodgers, against a pretty good defensive, and Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp, and, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. You got DK Metcalf on the Steelers. There's Jalen Ramsey there. So that's going to be an interesting one. Then another one I think that will be pretty interesting would be the Broncos at the Colts. I think everyone's talking about that, Bo Nix, Broncos defense, Sean Payton, and then you got the Colts that look pretty good at home. Daniel Jones, they have a solid defensive team. They ended up adding Cameron Bynum from the Vikings. DeForest Buckner still there, so they're pretty solid up there. Maybe one of these surprise teams, so we should see. And then, I did mention before was the Eagles and Chiefs, the Super Bowl rematch in Kansas City. It's a 1 o'clock game, 1:25 p.m. See what goes on over there. See where both teams were at, as we spoke earlier about it. And then Falcons at Vikings Sunday night. That should be good too. McCarthy against Michael Penix Jr., JJ McCarthy. And then 2 Monday night games. We have Buccaneers at Texans. That should be good too, up in Houston. Stroud and Baker Mayfield and their talent that they have around their team, and then the Chargers at the Raiders. That one, I think that to cap off week 2 at 7 o'clock, doubleheader Monday night, will be a pretty good one. Pretty weak to see all these games that's going to go on. But you guys, please let me know in the comment section below, and reach out. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know if you guys ever want to come on, want to share your thoughts, share your details. Love to have you guys all on, keep you guys engaged, keep you guys all ready to go. You know, but we will have, like I said, more sponsors, more guests come on the show, and we will continue to keep moving it from there. We'll keep this train running, keep this momentum running, and we're going to continue to grow and get better. All right. So now I just mentioned a few more sponsors before I close the night. I like to also mention Sabrina Butch, with her wedding planner, event planner, turning dreams into reality, one event at a time. Let Events by Sabrina bring the magic to your next celebration. You can reach out to her for wedding coordinator or anything related to that at 707-290-3595. You can reach out to her at sabrinabucks86@gmail.com. Hashtag Fairy Godmother Experience. Hashtag Events by Sabrina. Hashtag Barrier Events. And she also does Elk Grove too. Elk Grove in Sacramento. She covers everywhere, wherever you need her, or around the Bay Area, NorCal area, wherever you guys are located and need to use her. You can reach out to her. She will assist you. She has other locations as well. She's very good. She's a very good a family member of mine, and really helped a lot with, including with my wedding too. So reach out to her. Also like to mention Y2K Recycling. Got old electronics? Don't trash it. Recycle it. We're on a mission to keep e-waste out of landfills. You can reach out to them at 510-925-9919. Info at y2krecycling.com and www.y2krecycling.com. Hashtag Y2K Recycling. Hashtag e-waste solutions. Hashtag recycle. Also, any shipment courier needs, reach out to Bomar Mail. Need to ship fast and hassle-free? Visit Bomar Mail in Hayward today, your local go-to for all mail and courier needs. Email james@bomarmail.com. Contact him at 510-760-2515. Hashtag Bomar Mail. Hashtag Hayward Business. Hashtag Shipping Made Easy. Hashtag Support Local. Last but not least, I'd like to mention my sponsor, Eric Lal, which is DJ Regal Warning, Regal Wedding, Red Warning, DJ RW Entertainment Group, DJ and LED Wall, Special FX, Event Production, Lasers, LED Bar, Dance Floor. You can call them at 916-838-6679, www.djregalweddingset.com. You can reach out to them for any other needs, any wedding needs, DJ needs, you got them. All right, guys, that's probably going to be doing it for the rest of the show tonight. Thank you for always showing love, support, and care. Like, subscribe, share on your Instagrams, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, social media, Twitter, your friends, family. Reach out to them to let them know. Love to anyone on that loves sports or anything that you guys want to talk about. I'm here. I'm here to support. I'm here to give. And that'll do it for the rest of the show. Really appreciate you guys, and I'm going to be ending it for the rest of the night. You guys all take care. Thank you.